All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Salzer, absent. Mrs. Petropoulos?
Here.
Mrs. Lammel?
Here.
Mrs. Lebudzik?
Here.
Ms. Joy, absent. Mr. Milkowski?
Here.
Mrs. Grove?
Here. Introduction of guests.
Yeah, so we have, it looks like we have a lot of people here because we haven't been in this room in a while. But really, we just have the admin team. We have Gino, and then we have Allison Mallow, teacher at Ridge Central, and Korea co-president. So thank you for being here, everyone. We can go right into the consent agenda.
Okay, the approval of the consent agenda. So the minutes of the meetings.
Just need to see if we can get a motion.
I will make a motion. I'll second it.
Mrs. Lammel?
Aye.
Mr. Milkowski?
Aye.
Mrs. Grove?
Aye.
Mrs. Lebudzik?
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos?
Aye.
Right, so it's down to you.
Yeah, time for superintendent's reports. And before I jump into everything, just a couple things. Number one, last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. And we've talked a lot. I know we have some educators on the board, and just there's a lot of like fluff things out there very often for Teacher Appreciation Week. And I just say that I was very impressed with the things going on in the schools, whether it was PTA doing something, our administration's doing something, our teachers doing things for each other. There was some really neat stuff. I mean, we had a food truck outside. I was very happy. But just wanted to say thank you to all the teachers. I know a lot of them are listening to our board meetings, but definitely very appreciated. And it was hopefully a nice week for everybody. PTA, we do have we had the book fair, which was very successful at all three buildings. We also had the family read night, and I was lucky enough to get to read for that. But we also had the police and the library come out and have representatives from that. So it was really fun to just have the kids kind of around. The book fair was open at that time, so a lot of people were purchasing books at the same time. They are working right now on an end of the year activity, which I believe is going to be Friday, June 3rd. If the weather is good, it will be out on the blacktop. It sounds like it's kind of like the game night type thing. And if not, I believe we're going to use Central's gym that night, because we will probably be set up in Finley's gym for graduation practice. So it's exciting. We're getting to that point. For our enrollment report, last month we had 1,465 students, which is we increased by one student from last month. But I think it's important to note that we're up 41 students from last year. So that's where we're at. 3.3 vacant positions and possible staffing needs. We're really looking towards next year, and we know we still have some big positions to fill. The biggest areas that we are still looking, as almost every district I have talked to, is in special ed and social workers, and then paraprofessionals. And I was at a superintendent's professional development on Friday, which was all the suburban counties around Chicago, and they said 88% of the districts anticipate having like 3 or more staff openings when school begins, and that 94% of those have a sub shortage. So unfortunately, this is not just, as we've said, our district, but it doesn't mean we're not going to keep trying to find creative ways and things to do to minimize any of that potential. So 3.4, which is much more exciting to talk about. We do have our 8th grade graduation on June 6th. That is on a Monday night at 7 o'clock. And last year we had a traditional ceremony, but if you remember, I think we only allowed 2 tickets. So this year we're going back to 6 tickets. And Richards has always been really accommodating with us and do a nice job hosting. And we're just excited that families will have that opportunity to come and celebrate with their graduates. If you're able to make graduation, we ask that you let Annette Robertson, who's the secretary at Finley, know by May 31st, so that she can get everything kind of seating charts done and all of that. So. And then 3.5, hard to believe we're already talking about this, but the III conference next year is scheduled for November 18th through the 20th. And the reason we already start talking about it is they do open up registration on June 6th. And there is an early bird registration, and I give Lori a lot of credit. She is on it with deadlines and making sure that everything is set up. So please let her know by Friday, June 3rd, if you plan to attend. If you have any questions, please let us know. And Lori, do you have anything to add?
No, I was just gonna say, let me know when I'll find it out.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then 3.6 for our summer school, we've had our teachers sign up. We've got them in grade levels. Tomorrow, we plan on sending out an email to our paraprofessionals, as well as anyone who's interested in subbing as well for summer. And later on in the meeting, we'll be asking you to approve the stipend payment for those positions. But we're excited. And I think this happens almost every summer. We give the list of the kids we want to come and who we see could really benefit from it. But a lot of people have summer plans. So you get a lot of yeses, but we're getting a lot of no's as well. And we all have stuff in the summer. So then that's why we go through an entire list through the grade level of who next to invite. So we will continue to do that until we fill up the positions in those classrooms. And again, keeping the classes small, but we still want to make sure we hit that number for those.
And when is summer school this summer?
Yes. So summer school, the teachers get a whole like 4 days off before they see the kids again. But we get out of school on Wednesday, the 8th, and then everyone will have Thursday and Friday off. And then Monday and Tuesday, which I think is the 13th and 14th, they will come in. We're going to have professional development. The teacher will have time to set up their classrooms. Then the kids come that Wednesday, which is kind of nice for them. They come in for 2 days and then get some time off. And so it runs all the way, I think it's middle of July, like July 20 something, July 21st. And we are the week of 4th of July, giving them the 4th and the 5th off so that people are able to get out of town. And we figured attendance would be pretty low on the 5th anyways.
Do you
So.
have enough staff?
Right now, we're pretty happy with the staff that has come out. The paraprofessionals keep asking when that email is going to go out. So I know we have a lot that are interested in doing it. And the one nice thing is we are able to, and really we need to offer more in the summer because we have to spend a specific amount of the COVID money during the summer. So that's why we're able to kind of offer that incentive for a little bit more. So. And then 3.7, the consideration of non-binding class sizes. In the contract, the board does need to take a look at different class sizes, and in there is the range, and it's pretty typical of what we've done the last couple of years. So from pre-K to first grade, we're looking at a range of 17 to 23, second through fifth grade, 23 through 28, and 6th through 8, 23 to 30. And you'll notice that especially at that pre-K to first, we try to keep them pretty small because research time and time again shows that the younger they are, the more they will benefit. I think every kid will always benefit, but we also have to balance out just cost. And for us, the biggest thing is space. Where would we put if we started shrinking some of these down? So again, it's the contract states that it's non-binding, but the board needs to consider it. And we don't need to vote on it, but just really want to ask if there's any feedback or any changes that you'd want to see made. If there are none, then I will be emailing the teaching staff within the next week, kind of with those recommendation size and the principals as well, so that when they're getting ready for next year's class list, they have those numbers to kind of look through. I think even knowing from when I was teaching, I think you always feel like there's too many. I know like there's a situation over at Ridge Lawn where it's a challenging 4th grade class, and there's only 2 of them right now. There's about 25 in each grade, and we've talked about like, well, do we split that? Well, then it goes down to like 16 or 17 kids, and they'd be the lowest. And again, one of the hardest things is, so if you do that, then you are going to have to start doubling up EL teachers even more than they are now, or special ed teachers. And so that's why we really want to get this construction done as soon as possible, just to open up some of those other options.
Well, if you divide it to, you don't know, transition rate for the following year.
Yeah.
Then it could be 3 really tiny 5th grade classes.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
And I do
So-
think that's hard. Anytime you're in a community where you do have people moving in and out sometimes, you do your best to predict, and we have a pretty good handle on it, but sometimes it surprises you, and all of a sudden, like 3 families in a row all have the same grade level, or you can have the exact opposite where they all transfer out from the same grade level. So it's just trying, and that's why our administrators do a nice job of keeping track all the time. Like they know exactly every day how many students are in each grade level. So, okay, sorry. I do not have any others at this time, so I will pass it over to Kathy.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Okay, just really wanted to bring you up to date on the construction update that's going to be happening over the summer. Naturally, none of the work has started, but the plans are starting to come together. We're meeting regularly with our architect. We're getting the schedules coming in. If you remember, the projects are the masonry. That's really going to be very non-disruptive to the buildings because that's all exterior work. The larger project is going to be the flooring replacement at all three buildings and the district office. So we're working on, moving the district office temporarily, the Finley office, who's going to be hosting summer school. So all of those logistics are kind of coming together. And then the other projects are the site improvements, which is going to be some paving and concrete work, the rooftop units at Central and Finley. And then I want to talk a little bit about the Ridge Central Playground. It's less than 3 years old. That was a real big project we did a couple summers ago. And Megan had noticed that not the pre-K playground, but the K through 5 playground, the surface was coming apart and it was getting slippery and it was just basically crumbling. So we had our architect out here with the manufacturer, and they definitely identified that there was some sort of, whether it was a defect in the material itself or possibly the glue when they put it all together. But the good news is it's under warranty, and that warranty has been approved actually since I even wrote the summation. And it doesn't sound like a big ordeal to replace it. It's a day or two. They do another sealing and then we have to stay off it for a day or two. So hopefully that would actually be done before the summer. So just wanted to share a little bit with that for you.
The area we wrote off after that's completed.
Yes, at least for a day or two until the surface dries. Mhm,
Did the
yeah.
architect mention anything about that down spot that's over there, that when it rains, the water kind of goes all into the playground?
No, I didn't know that was an issue.
I mean, I don't know if it's an issue, but there is.
I think it's an issue. I don't think it is an issue that plays into this situation, but I
Okay.
know exactly where you're talking.
I just wonder if that excess water that comes after it rains, if that plays a part in
Okay.
any, like deterioration or
And it
whatever.
certainly could.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the tentative amended budget for this year. Historically, we do amend our budget annually, and this year we amend it because we like the budget to be close to actual, but this year actually our capital projects, we went over budget. And the reason for that is at the end of last school year, we tried to get some expenses into that year. It doesn't always happen. So we did need to adjust accordingly, but then we do take a look at all of it. And overall, the revenue is actually going to be amended for 600,000 more than we budgeted for. And the reason for that is we never budget for more than the evidence-based funding money that we got the prior year. And this year we actually are getting about $600,000 or $700,000 more. And we are not anticipating any more categorical payments from the state. And those would be our special ed and our transportation. Last school year, like June 27th, they posted it. So if we get more money, that's great news. If we don't, that will just be budgeted for next year. And then the expenses are actually going to be lower by 550,000, even though our capital expenditures were over. This is the net result of we budget very conservatively for contingencies. We had some expenditures that we didn't spend. We had some vacant positions that we couldn't fill. So please know that this is a work in progress, and it will continue to be amended as we pay these last final bills, and then we'll ask the board to approve it at the June meeting. Any questions on that? Okay, the next item 4.3 is our annual renewal with Open Kitchens. We went back and forth with Open Kitchens last year because they were requesting a higher than 3% increase. Well, it's in the contract that they can only request a 3%. So no surprise here. The renewal is in your board packet, and I would certainly recommend the approval of that moving forward into next year. And then the last thing is, this is the time of year we always share the preliminary IMRF rate for 2023. Actually, IMRF is on a calendar year. It is not on a fiscal year. It's from January to December. And as we've seen in the last several years, our contribution rate has been really decreasing. And we're going to benefit again next year. Our rate currently is 6.25%. And it's actually going down to 4.77%. And that's going to be a savings to the district of about $25,000 because since tier 2 individuals have to work later, it's virtually almost paying for itself. And we knew that, and we're excited about this. Any questions on any of that? Sure. We do. We do have to adhere to the federal guidelines because we're National School Lunch Program. But as long as they adhere to those guidelines, we could go over the menu and take out what our kids don't like. If there is a meal that, we know our kids, nobody's eating, we could have a conversation with that. They would just have to fit that into the meal plan each week.
We had more cheese pizza.
We probably could
I'm
if,
just wondering all the ways, I agree, I mean.
yeah.
My kids used to eat certain things, if there's certain things on there that they wanted to sample, so I think that, it wouldn't be a bad idea to speak to the lunch hostesses. to see
Sure.
What is a popular item or what is
Yeah.
going to cost constantly, if, we're putting this funding out, I think that's a
Mhm.
fantastic idea, because whatever meal they offer, it falls within those FDA
Sure.
guidelines for food and so
Yeah.
many breads and so many whatever, so if it's things that our students are going to be more inclined to eat, otherwise I think that a lot of these kids who are getting free lunches are going hungry.
Yes, they are because
Because
they're
they're
not.
not gonna eat a curry chicken leg and hummus, and maybe they will, I love hummus, but some of them,
Yeah.
like my kid won't even touch whatever this item is, they're like, no mom, so.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, maybe there could be like a Google form out that the students can answer, like what were
Yeah, I
your
like
favorite
that.
and what was absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, because I like that. We can ask the lunch hostess because they'll know the numbers. But if we reached out to the students and kind of made it fun, we could really get some good feedback.
Yeah,
And we'll definitely, that's a great
What
suggestion.
about the ability for some of the, because I know, like you were saying, there's a lot of waste and things like that. Are there things that they can choose to make that are not quite so wasteful? Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Well,
things that are
Less perishable?
less spirit.
Yes,
That's what
yes, and we certainly can.
I mean, I
but-
know we've had problems with things,
Yeah.
being like, they take it home and then it like makes its way to like
It's on my
garbage, it's on your
Right.
side, exactly.
Right,
Different things like that, but
Yeah.
is there a way that we as a school or anything like that can take that non-perishable stuff, if it's not sitting there, instead of it getting thrown on Christmas lawn, that we can donate it to a food bank or do something
yeah.
proactive with it.
And actually, yeah, that is actually already in place. I know Ridge Lawn has actually, and Fran, feel free to volunteer. I'm like, looking, where are you? I know they actually have a table and it's one of the student groups that participate in that, correct?
Had to put a pause on it because of COVID,
Mhm.
but we'd be hopeful that that would be something that we could resume when we're kind of back to more normal
Right.
next year.
Mhm. Yeah, and then the other schools, I know Finley, what they do is they leave all their produce and things right there on the counter, and staff knows on the way out, if you take 3 apples, it's more than okay.
We have a teacher that also
Mhm.
donates to shelters, like she'll take anything that's like the granola bars or whatever else is left over, and she donates down at the shelters downtown.
Nice.
You have a
Mhm.
blessings box over here by the
And
library.
Covered, yeah.
For non-perishables as well.
Yeah.
And what the lunch hostesses all do such a great job is they break down the extra breakfasts and lunches. So if there is an apple, they'll put it in one pile, but then if it's a granola bar, they keep that and then they share that with the students in the following days. So they really try to minimize it. Mhm. Okay, good suggestions. Thank you.
We're up and we're making money on some of that type of stuff. Do you think that we're gonna see a turnaround come like at the end of this year? Like it's gonna go back up?
It could be, because the largest portion of IMRF funding is the investments. They have huge balances. The next largest contribution comes from the employer, and then the 4.5%. So IMRF fortunately has those hefty balances where they can earn some significant returns. But it's just a matter of how long this market is going to be in this downturn. Because yes, if this extends 2-3 years, I would anticipate that that rate going up.
Is there a maximum amount that they can increase? Is there a cap on the increase, or is it whatever it is?
No, it's really whatever it is. Yeah. But when tier 2 started, they did give us the heads up, because the cost for a retiring tier 1 person, because there's like a 10 or 12 difference age retirement. And so they told us it's virtually going to pay itself for the tier 2 employees. Mhm. Mhm.
5.0 old business, other 5.1 new business 6.0. Okay, 6.1 potential board action to display the tentative 21-22 amended budget. I think I'm looking for a motion.
Mrs. Ludwig,
Aye.
Mr. Milkowski,
Aye.
Mrs. Grove,
Aye.
Mrs. Lammle,
Aye.
Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye.
6.2 potential
board action to approve
instructional
the
technology.
instructional
contract with
technology coach
in
contract
the
with
amount of
LTC
$61,200
in the amount of $61,200 to be paid for with the
Yes, and
FY
Jen, our
23 Title
technology
II
coach,
funds.
we had used this year, and I would say our teachers really liked working with her. So we only had her for a third of the time this year. She was split between 3 districts. One district had her for most of the time, and then the other 2. The one district that had her a little bit less than we did, that superintendent is leaving, and so I scooped that chance up. She is very wanted across the state, and she's very happy to work here half-time. And I will say she is very busy. One of the things you always worry about coaches is that they have a lot of free time, because they try to keep their schedule open, and but really looking at coaching cycles for next year, so going really in depth with them. And again, she is not someone who we want to be coming in and just doing like problem solving, like turn off your computer when it doesn't start. But this is working with our teachers to find how the technology can enhance what they're doing in the classroom to increase student engagement.
So how many days did you have last year?
So a third, so we were at like 60 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna be up at 90.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So will she be working closely with Megan or more with everybody? to
Yeah,
try
and
to
she,
get across the
and I
board?
will say Jen is really good at meeting with the administrators of the different buildings and keeping us what's going on. But yeah, there would definitely be like, I think we need to try this and this, and then running it through.
Does this take a load off the data?
No, two completely separate things. Again, this is more student driven with engagement and and Gino's dealing with
Yeah.
all the problems.
Yeah, I think the hard part about it is our kids, when COVID happened and stuff, a lot of things were dumped onto the computers for lack of nothing to better do. And now it sounds bad, but now we've got kids going through withdrawals, trying to pull them off and, be able to make technology enhance education, because teachers are what we need, not more. They can get an app for all the other crap that they need. Do you know what I mean? And I really like to know that she's, doing a good job of bridging that gap.
Yeah, we have been extremely happy with
Okay,
that.
good. And we are gonna get her, not just somebody else, right?
Correct.
Perfect.
Yep.
Just wanna make sure.
I'm making the motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Minkowski.
Aye.
Mrs. Lammle.
Aye.
Mrs. Lebuzik. Mrs. Grove.
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye.
Six,
3 potential action.
Three
to approve
potential
payments
action
to
to approve payments
NWEA in the
to
amount of
NWEA in the amount of $25,330 for math reading fluency and math.
Yes, we've always, we've had map growth here for a very long time. This past year is the first year we've added the map fluency piece for our elementary. And I know we were happy with the data that we got, and especially as we're trying to figure out what gaps the students have from the last couple of years. So we would recommend for this year approving both.
I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Mrs. Grove.
Aye.
Mrs. Lebuzik.
Aye.
Mr. Minkowski. Mrs. Lammle.
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye.
All right, aye. So 6.4 other.
Nothing?
7.0
reports.
Reports.
All right, 7.1, other.
7.1 other.
8.0, informational.
8.0 informational.
Nothing, okay.
Nothing, okay.
8.1,
8.1 other.
okay,
Okay,
9.0.
9.0. Opportunity for visitors to speak, board policy 2.230. Do I have to say it a bunch of times?
Nope.
Opportunity for visitors to speak. We're good. Okay, 10.0 is president's prerogative, and as stand-in president tonight, I just wanted to kind of make a kind of board statement slash I spoke with Nancy, who is the actual president, to thank all the teachers. Last week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and it has been a rough couple of years, especially for teachers in this time frame, trying to get students back into, I guess, what regular school is. Students are traumatized in a way and trying to figure it out, but it would be silly to think that teachers aren't as well. They're wearing lots of hats, and I've said this before, trying to figure out how to help kids be successful in class, but also support their emotional needs. And I just want to say that I know as a parent here of 3 kids in the district, I cannot say enough how appreciative I am of all the teachers. 1 week is never enough to appreciate staff who play not only a teacher, but a parent, a caregiver, a mommy, a daddy, and sometimes a friend or a confidant. So I really appreciate, and I know the whole board appreciates everything that the staff is doing on a daily basis, because a lot of these staff spend more time with kids than some of us parents do, unfortunately, and you are really picking up on things and also just helping them grow in many, many ways. So I know that we appreciate everything that all of the teachers, as well as the staff in the buildings, you know, the paraprofessionals, the administrators, who are all burning the candle at every end. So I just want to say, you know, thank you to everyone. Thank you to all the teachers. We appreciate you daily. But for last week, which is Teachers Appreciation Week, we even appreciate you more. Okay, so I'm done talking. 11.0, close to adjourn session.
Yes, thank you.
You have to read
I
that,
do.
right?
Discussion of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with the Open Meetings Act as defined in the Open Meetings Act, Section 2C1, the discussion of collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or representative, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employee as defined in Section 2C2. The discussion of litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting as defined in Section 2C11, and the discussion of minutes of prior meetings lawfully closed under the Open Meetings Act as defined in Section 2C21 for the purpose of review, approval, or release of such minutes. No student discipline or safety issues will be discussed in tonight's closed session. Motion to go in.
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Mrs. Lammle.
Aye.
Mrs. Grove.
Aye.
Mr. Minkowski.
Aye.
Mrs. Lebuzik.
Aye.
And Mrs. Petropoulos.
Aye.
Right.
So go into closed session.